mostly from legislators via constituency projects. They will tell you there's no ministry don't have empowerment, distribution of wheelbarrow, grinding machines, name it. And you wonder, how can a Minister of Works that has not been unable to ensure smooth motorable roads in the country is now taxed with the idea and responsibility of training hairdressers?
I mean, you see, last year, this same minister was he locked out or he locked out civil servants in his ministry
for coming late,
over this budget matter. At least that year, we didn't have this kind of funny budget lines in the budget of that ministry. But this year, that things are going well, smoothly. Because everybody's interest has to be taken care of. I've always raised the issue. The budget is the most important law, and that's why I think about the entire constitution is one law that has a date. Every state, every president, governor or state must present by 31st, which is one of the reasons the Rivers House of Assembly has raised over the impeachment of proceedings against Governor Fubara. That is how important that law is. I can tell you that in France today, they have had like 3-4 prime ministers in about a year or how many months over budget issues. Because you present the budget, they will scatter the thing, the prime minister will be unable to defend it, he will resign, dissolve the government, get another person. That is how important a budget is. In the United States, they shut down the government. The government shut down because of budget, on inability to pass the budget for the next fiscal year and all of. So that is how important it is. And I've always said, unless we get the budget right, and it is the civil service that will help us with this matter, because most of what you see there, emanate from the departments, the directorates that they have, and all of that. And then, like you mentioned, lawmakers will also have their own infused. We don't know who infused this one. Maybe by the end of the day or so, they should be able to explain to us. But we will talk about it. You can be sure that when they pass the budget,
responses from the Minister of Works,
they
must not keep quiet. They must explain to us how they intend to spend our money for hairdressing.
And when they start the budget defense, they will go. They will say behind closed door. At the end of the day, you will still see this budget line
because these lines belong to the legislators,
and they will be the first ones to be funded. They will be the first ones to be funded. And at the end of the day, they will say, oh, the budget, they have not implemented the budget. They have to roll over the other capital. That is the problem. And I've said that I think the president will get to sit down and have an interface with every sector in the ministry. Look at those items line after line. So that when you are presenting this to the Executive Council of the Federation, you are comfortable with it. I've always said, the budget the president takes to the National Assembly, I can tell you, 70 to 80 or even 90% of what is there, he doesn't know.
But Abulu,
so the president after that, you also sit down in major and hold budget sessions with ministries, major ministries to also streamline and get it. Unless we get the budget right, Nigerians will continue to complain bad roads, no hospitals, no this, and that is the reason.
The president signs off on this budget.
Yes.
He signs it off before it's presented to the National Assembly. So he should take responsibility for whatever errors are in there. Why should I say the blame is directly and squarely to the president? He appoints the ministers. He appoints the permanent secretaries. So every other public servant reports to him directly or indirectly. So if this inefficient bureaucracy produces defective budget, it's down to the president. Because if he picks the right thing, if he picks the right minister in finance, if he picks the right minister for budget and national planning, if he picks the right person in head of budget office, and picks the right permanent secretaries, they would sieve the budget from all these. I'm struggling not to use negative language here. I'm restraining myself not to use negative language because there are gatekeepers. Even the National Assembly, which will be the last gatekeeper, any small error left in the sieving done by the bureaucracy, the National Assembly is meant to detect it. But this is the National Assembly that will even impute their own They will add more street lights and put it in Ministry of Culture. Anywhere they can just put the money, they dump it there because they have devised a means of retrieving this money. They know, like you said, it's the first to be implemented. They are in charge, so they know how to put it and retrieve it.
Amici, good morning again. And my dear listener, the budget is the second most important document of the country and organization after the constitution or the bylaw. And in Nigeria, we have so many gatekeepers, as we call them, to check this document, to bring out gray areas and strike out what is not necessary, not the eyes and strike the T's and not the eyes. You have the budget office. The president also have advisors who go through this document before ever he signs them. The National Assembly, who we hold so dearly as our representatives, have they done well? The questions are big there, and they answer it. We are narrowing it down to the Ministry of Works because we have seen what an investigation has revealed. And a wise observer said, if you want to this book, the second most important, the budget.
So if you want to hide Nigeria's money, put it inside the budget document. And citizens will not care to. And they don't care to flip through.
We have CSOs, we have publish what you pay, we have the Hamzat of this world, and we have the Ejequeres of this world.
Follow the money.
Follow the money. Tell us about this budget. You have budget and a very lovely CSO that tell us about a budget of states, what is budget for education. Have they not dig deep to see this kind of thing? This money, I don't want to call the amount, but it's very scary. They said it's going to artists, hairdressers.
Well, what would the artists do? They will be singing for the ministers, inspecting the road projects or what?
If you look at the Ministry of Work, one would have expected that maybe people are crying over the money they budgeted for compensation. That is what is expected of the Ministry of Work. So they want to construct roads, they want to pass through communities, they have to compensate. So where is the budget for compensation? Or where is the budget for diversion? Where is the budget for additional roads? These are the things that we should be discussing, not hairdressing in the Ministry of Works. Maybe it's a misplaced.
It's not. It's not.
A priority.
It was carefully, willfully carried out.
Artists are part of the media, makeup are part of the media, hairdressers are a part of the creative industry. So maybe it's a budget in the creative industry ministry that was lifted and dumped in the Ministry of Work. I don't know. I'm just saying. So the ministry has the opportunity to come and clarify where is this. Maybe it's corporate social responsibility they want to do with that money.
Is it their responsibility?
Maybe because they are constructing road and they are hailing me.
They are doing corporate social responsibility. What will NEMA do?
No, when
NEMA will begin to construct roads and bridges.
Imagine Mahi lands in your community and say the federal road wants to pass there, and they are hailing him. Where will he get the money to give those people hailing? Probably from here. So we need more clarification.
Yes, from the Minister of Works.
It's not out of place if the Ministry of Works have enough budget for compensation. It's not out of place if the Ministry of Works have enough money to divert roads into communities. So let's know what maybe this place what I said earlier. But the issue of budget padding is really a negative. It's criminal.
Teve, maybe I think you have a word to chip in here before we go on our first break. But in the absence of an explanation, or while we are waiting an explanation from the Ministry of Works, this inclusion in our budget line is a conspiracy to defraud the country.
It is. Clearly, it is. That is what it is. But we must give it to the civil society. You know, usually when the budget is presented, not too long, 24, 48 hours at the most, it will be a public document. But this particular budget, it took the intervention of people like
Center for Social Justice.
About 7 or so of their NGOs came together to issue a strong statement. And we also had him on our sister station, AIT, where he raised the issue that the president has presented the budget, but the details are not made public. It was not on the website. It was not on the website.
Put it on the website
after they put so much pressure on the media, that make this budget public. That the budget office of the federal uploaded it in National Assembly, and all of that. So perhaps usually because they know things like this will come up, they wanted to keep it close. Nobody should possibly know until. So we must give it to them. They pushed it to make sure that we
Okay.
have that budget in public space. But we need, the explanations may not come now.
Okay.
Maybe during public hearing and all of that. I tell you that this all of this will sail through. They will pass them.
Add their own
They will even add.
remove
it. Fortunately, it will.
Look at previous budget.
What happened? We raised those issues.
And it's not restricted to Minister of Works. It's just that we're using it as a standpoint. Pick up this budget and scrutinize, and you will see. What you will see is what you cannot say. Well, who knows whether the president is aware of this and taking steps, practical steps to correcting it. We told you on this program. He should know everything. He's not Buhari. I'm not aware. He should be aware.
I know the box up on the table, but let's let the president lie. He cannot know everything. He cannot. He cannot know everything.
Abulu, even if you delegate, if you don't supervise, that supervisory role, if it's not there, whatever delegation, that's why they will tell you, if you want to do anything, you want anything done, do it yourself. But so if you delegate and you don't supervise, and that is the major challenge we have in leadership. People delegate and then they don't supervise.
Inflation rate dropped from 17 to 15%. Who takes the commendation? So if there's a negative occurrence, who should take the blame? You or I. You take it. Okay, Abuli, you're responsible for this thing in the budget. If you don't want to take it, so the president has the executive power. Executive powers is vested on him. Powers vested on him, and he can exercise it directly or indirectly. Then they talked about delegated
responsibility.
When you delegate, the outcome, success or failure, is not to the one you delegated. It comes back to you. So as a president, as a governor, set up an effective system. And if you fail to set up that system, that's where failure starts in. And like I was saying, the president may have recognized these anomalies in the budget, because we told you not too long ago in this program how he took away the schedule under Wale as Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy. He may have been responsible. We are not told why. For all these mess we have found ourselves in. And all the schedule we are given to the Minister of State to handle. So when you see this action from the Aso Rock, you begin to say maybe the president is aware and is beginning to take precautionary steps. And that is where we have to give it to him. He's not afraid to take corrections, and he's not afraid to make a U-turn. And he has done it repeatedly over time. But the praise and commendation should always go to where it should be. He's the commander-in-chief. Tepe is not the commander-in-chief. If there are successes achieved by the Nigerian military, he takes the commendation. If there are failure, he should also take the blame. Let's go for a break. When we come back, more reports and analysis. Remember, your mail is still with us. Thank you so much for staying with us. The ladies are here with the males.
Many thanks for joining us this morning. Welcome to the male segment on Political Platform. My name is Fumilayo Emopai.
I am Aichida Majakudumi. Our first mail is from Comrade Monday Ame, who's writing to us from Abuja, and he says, I joined fellow Nigerians to commend and to pay green tribute to our gallant soldiers, serving retired and veterans, and the death and the auspicious occasion of this year's Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration, which came to climax yesterday. There is no doubt that the Nigerian Army is the pride of our nation, and their sacrifices in protecting our territorial integrity, waging the ongoing war against insurgency in part of the country, and keeping our dear country as one indivisible and indissoluble country is legendary and commendable. As we remember the patriotism and sacrifices of our fallen heroes and heroines, which is a moment of sober reflection. I call on the government to place the welfare of families left behind by our late compatriots on top priority. Similarly, the welfare of serving officers, ranks, and files should be placed on top burners, and the pensions of those who have retired should be paid as and when due. Furthermore, I commend the gallantry and relentless effort by the troops in the theater of war in the northeast in battling the barbaric and nefarious activities of insurgents and bandits.
And the next mail is coming from Dixon Eka in Abuja. And it says, I want to assure Dr. Amechi and Abulu that based on the messages we received from the banks, the new VAT charges on virtually all transactions will not be charged from the bank's amount, not the cashback from the fintech banks, but an additional 7.5% of everything your bank will be charging you. Excuse me. The federal government through the NRS is simply telling us that it is not only the bank that will enjoy charges for such services, but the federal government must also take its own charges from the citizens, as the banks are charging, and there must not be anything free for the citizens anymore. It means that while the citizens provide virtually everything they enjoy, including generators, borehole, transformers, culverts, school fees, and even roads, Nigeria, with all her natural resources, has officially become a tax dependent nation, like most Western countries in Europe, that provide almost everything for citizens before taxes, even as the Nigerian government provides almost nothing for the citizens. This cannot be a dream of a nation.
And on issue bordering on education, Ugochukwu Godwin from Lagos says, the news of the agreement between ASU and the federal government is not surprising or new. We have been here before. Is there a deadline for the payments to start? Will the federal government honor it or another committee will oversee the implementation? Our tertiary education sector needs a surgical operation, but the main cancer is on the primary and secondary schools. The state and local governments have literally abandoned their duty. What are we producing at this critical level of a child's life? ASU has kept championing their welfare more than the infrastructure gap, where engineering students are still using cardboard paper to draw instead of computers, where a University of Technology is offering art courses, where a Faculty of Agriculture doesn't have a tractor. Until we address the issues of inadequate and low grade lecturers and lecture rooms, lack of infrastructure and laboratories, autonomy of universities, change of curriculum and courses to reflect our reality, the ASU federal government face off will continue.
And on issue of security, Emeka Mba from Abuja says, in your analysis the other day, there was a mention of an alleged $9 million payment to President Tinubu's government to a certain American, by President Tinubu's government to a certain American lobbyist to lobby President Donald Trump to play down on the designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern and the accompanying military action. This allegation is making the rounds on all news platforms, and like they say, there's no smoke without fire. If this news is true, then it must be unfortunate that the government of the day would rather not only play the ostrich, but also live in denial and ignorance when its people are being killed mindlessly and displaced in their thousands. I can't help but shudder at what informs the thinking of our leaders. President Trump gave his reasons based on unabating ravaging insecurity with incontrovertible facts at his disposal for designating Nigeria as a country of particular concern. Now, the insecurity is still ravaging and unabating, and the commonsensical thing to do is fight it with the seriousness it deserves, including investing $9 million and bring it under control, not lobbying.
And Comrade Emmanuel Toti from Jai here in Abuja says, yesterday I was amused as Amici Anakwe was trying to make meaning out of the traditional title of Zege Mole Utiv, which means the big shed of the Tiv people. It was also funny as Teve Tiav, one of the active crew members, was struggling to figure out the meaning of the title in a language that is ordinarily well-spoken mother tongue. The truth, however, is that the relevance of that title on the former Vice President of Nigeria has been long lost, and it is needless to continue to remember it because Atiku Abubakar has never sympathized nor commiserate with the Tiv nation during the decades of genocidal annihilation meted by Killer Fulani herdsmen against the thief people of Benue State. I'm also calling on the Tortiv of Tiv Land, the Bega Utiv, Professor James Ayate, to strip the former Vice President of Nigeria of this title, since it is clear that he has no sympathy nor any human feeling towards the suffering people of Benue State. Instead of acting as the big shed, Atiku has become the big problem of TIV since he failed to condemn Header's attack on our communities. We are praying he should never become Nigeria's president, owing to this high level of partiality and inability to rise above ethnic cleavages. And that is all we have for you today on the mail segment. Keep on sending in your mails to us at politicalplatform@dargroup.com.
Thank you so much for staying with us. A small clarification and a quick one. Teve wasn't struggling to explain the meaning of Zege Muleyu Tif. He was the one that guided us yesterday. That's by the way. And of course, the writer is insisting that Atiku Abubakar never commiserated. I think he did commiserate several times. He visited, I think he's a visitor, he's always picking up. But you have your opinion as to whether he should be stripped or not. His name is Tortiv. Part of your name is Tortiv. I think that Tortiv is the traditional role of the
He
chief.
must have been given birth to the year when it was crowned, most probably.
Okay, that's why he came out with that title. Okay, so is your opinion is there for the Tortiv to do the needful down? Atiku's son, one of his sons, joined APC, defected from PDP yesterday, saying he will not just joining the party, but will work for the success of Bola Tinubu in the next round of the election. Atiku was forced to issue a statement yesterday saying that's his personal decision. Of course, Atiku has many children, and if one of them decides to join the other party, if Atiku eventually runs as a presidential candidate, it will be interesting to see how the son will work against his father's interest. But in politics, everything is allowed. And a quick reminder about presidential power: we operate a presidential system of government, not a cabinet system of government. If it's cabinet, the responsibility goes to the cabinet. That's why we talk about cabinet responsibility. But if it's presidential, responsibility is on the president because all powers are on him. That's why it's necessary for him to choose the right people. Presidents that succeed are those that headhunt people to come and man critical position. They will beg you. I was one of the presidential as a reporter in the Villa. I went to New York with US with the Goodluck Jonathan. He had to meet Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, begging her to come and serve. So those with value, you headhunt them because you know that failure will get bounce back to you. So you take that responsibility. Politics is about three issues here: capture of state power, which our politicians appear to have mastered. Consolidation, they have failed in that. Consolidation means picking the right team to run your government. And the last is use of the state power. Use it for the interest of the people. So if you're consolidating and you're putting, like Buhari will tell you, I've known this person since 40 years ago, and he fails, he should get back to you. So when you pick the right team, you ensure your success. And if we begin to protect presidents, that's when they'll pick anybody because they want to push the responsibility. Oh, I appointed people from your area as Minister of Defense. No way. It gets back to you. You're the one that is failing, not them.
Indeed, very interesting times. The issue of Atiku Abubakar's son, that's Abubakar Atiku Abubakar Abba, as it were, defecting. It means he didn't even defect to ADC with the father. Initially, the father was the father in PDP, campaigned for the father before he eventually defected to ADC, and he is now going to, the APC. This is not we've seen this across different republics where families go different ways, and all of that. I think the most interesting was even pre-colonial, where Avan Ipunku at the time in the southeast, his son also ran for the same position, the father and son running for the same position. The son defeated the father, became leader of the opposition, so we retired. So we've seen it over time. I think the statement from Atiku speaks volume of the maturity. He said, look, he will not impose his ideas on the son, and that's the same way he will not impose himself on Nigerian people, or even when he becomes president, imposing decisions and all of that. And I think a lot of people should learn from that.
Yeah, a lot of people learn from that. A wise man said that all leaders roll on their tongue. It's the one you call, and you know that it's not or not. You don't know what's going to happen in that small room where Atiku and his son were before the son decided to abandon the father. Is it a clear abandonment, or is it one of the guys Atiku is trying to throw in? Maybe the son is going to in his the guys, whether he wants to be governor of Adamawa State, who knows? But whatever the case, these are some of the drama we'll be seeing ahead of 2027. As you know, Daxi Baba Ahmed has also said that anybody that wants to defeat Tinubu must tear eye or red eye. That's what he used. But in my grammar, when they say somebody is red in anger, he's red.
Anyway, it shows the level of maturity in our politics. During the 2023 presidential election, a lot of prominent politicians, including governors, said publicly their family members were campaigning for P2B against their own interests. So their obedience, like they call themselves. So it's clear. The signs of the maturity and development of
David Umahi said the wife and the daughter.
Yes.
Even the house.
And Governor Basiki also said it. And there are so many. I spoke with Yunus Atanko, the head of the obedient movement, and he swore to me that there are many obedience inside Asoro presidential bill Abuja, but they are quiet about it. It's your choice.
The one that is very ugly is when somebody tell you he's PDAP, somebody tell you he's Labour. So let's be defined. Let's define.
Let's not sit on the fence. Exactly. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a good day and have a good weekend.